Hello and welcome to my review of the Aggradon Lancers for Seraphon for Warhammer Age of Sigmar from Games Workshop. A box set of 3 of these will cost you £37.50 and comprises of 95 plastic components with 3 Citadel 75 by 42mm oval bases. Format of this video is as usual. I'll have a closer look at the minis, go through the build, look at the detail, then I'll show you the spare parts, of which there are quite a few. We'll go through some size comparisons and then I'll go through all of their rules in their 3rd edition battle tome. So first things first, the box is pretty thick and the set is about the median price range of the rest of the Seraphon units. It's up there with all of the Pterodons, with the Croxigors, with the Saurus Warriors. It's a little bit cheaper than the Raptidon Hunters, although the Raptidon Hunters you are getting 5 minis, well technically 10, but you know what I mean, you're getting 5 included in the unit. It's the same price as the Bastillodon and only £2.50 more expensive than the Saurus Scar Veteran and about a £5 more expensive than the Spawn of Chotek. It would have been nice to have 5 of them in a unit, of course, but they are quite big, beefy units. And I think if they put 5 in a unit, it'd probably be pushing £45, maybe even 50. So I can see why they're £37.50 for 3. And they're a good companion to the Scar Veteran. Let's have a look at the detail of these minis then. So I've gone for 3 kind of basic standard equipped Aggradon Lancers, so none of the musical instruments and no banner, but I have gone for like a veteran. More on the rules a little bit later. I think they're gorgeous. These Aggradons are so similar to Velociraptors. If you like dinosaurs, Jurassic Park and things, these will be right up your street. The snouts, the heads are a little bit stubbier than Velociraptors, but they've got the toe claws, and their arms are very similar too. Just the shape of them, they're big, they're beefy, and a really awesome part of these Aggradon Lancers is they've got like a triangle peg. So you don't have to have the rider on. With a bit of modification, I guess you could cut this mount off, and you could potentially mould the other side of the tail to not have those feathers and just have it as dinosaurs walking around your battlefield. Or you could just leave them off completely. I'm undecided as to whether to actually glue these once I've painted them, but I think it's worth you keeping these off unglued and painting them separately. But very, very cool models, lots of detail as you can see, the scales, and a nice sense of movement as well. Fantastic. Let's have a look at the other one I've gone for. This one sort of got his mouth closed and about to turn to the left. And that's the one thing I will say about these, is I don't think that the Saurus warriors on there have particularly good poses. That's with the icon bearers and the drummer, and even these as well. It's hard to kind of, I guess it was quite difficult for them to get them into a pose that complements the Aggradons themselves, but having cavalry on dinosaurs like this is pretty cool. So yeah, that's the other one I built. And then finally the kind of veteran, or the leader. This one's got its mouth open, its legs are braced, and this one is probably one of the best poses of them. It's just, they're both staring something down. You've got multiple head options and have mouths open, have mouths closed, but the actual Aggradons themselves are usually the same, but you can swap the heads and the feathered tails around, and these chest armor plates. So there are plenty of options for customization if you were going to get another 3. I will pick up another 3 for the collection at some point, but of course, like with all of my army reviews and unit reviews, I like to pick up 1 of each to begin with, and you know, and give you as much information I can on these. So spare parts then. I don't think there's as many spare parts as the Kroxigor set, which is the same price, I might add. But here are the spare parts. Right here, so you've got one of the banners. That's a nice looking banner. Quite big as well. I've got another spear. You've got one of these swords, well, a few of them actually. And this kind of axe thing. This is the pole for the banner. You've got the drumsticks, and you've got the drums and the connecting plate for the drums. They come in a number of parts. You've got a different shield, so one slightly different shield. All the shields are different. You get a different neck piece. There's a few different neck pieces which really change the way the Saurus on there, you know, the Lancers are looking. So there's 3 of those, and then multiple head options. Look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess 5, because there's a headpiece there. So you're getting 8 head options, I think, in this set. So a decent number of spare parts there, and like I say, enough for you to get a second set and customize them a bit so that they look very different to these. Obviously the leg poses are going to be the same for the Aggradons, and of course the heads are, but you can swap them around. So at least the Aggradons, although they have the same leg poses, you know, the way that the Aggradons themselves are looking, and the feathers on the tails and the mounts will look a little bit different. So size comparisons then. I'll kick off with the Scar Veteran first of all, right here. Now this mini is £35, so it's only £2.50 cheaper than a set of 3. Nothing really stopping you from getting 2 sets of Aggradon Lancers, and then, you know, customizing one to be a Scar Veteran, because the Aggradon itself isn't that much bigger, and all of its stat profile is the same as the normal Aggradons, which is a bit disappointing, because typically in other armies and forces, the mounts that the leaders are on are a little bit better in some respects, and his Aggradon looks smaller as well, especially like compared to like this veteran here, just because of the pose. It's really crouched down, and it would have been great to see it in a more upright pose, especially as the Aggradon is kind of facing an enemy, a creature like there, and then this Scar Veteran is looking in a different way. It's a bit odd, but I just wanted to show him compared to the rest. He's going to blend in quite well, but he is on a bigger oval base. And he's going to look fantastic with 3 of them, or even 6 of them surrounding him, if you wanted to build a force around him that way. Compared to a normal Saurus warrior, right here, they are pretty much the same size, but just on Aggradons, of course, but that's where they stand up next to those. Next to a Skink. Skink is very small compared to these, and I even have a Raptordon as well. So this might be a decent size comparison between these. So on a much smaller oval base, just gives you an idea of the size difference between them as well, bearing in mind that 5 of these is 40, 3 of these is 37.50. You can definitely see the differences there, of just how much bigger, how much larger these Raptordons are. Look, they're kind of, say, double the size, you know, double the size the warriors are for the Skinks, and double the size the Aggradon is for the Raptordon. So next to Chotek, the Salamander, he's actually on the same size base as the Scar Veteran, so he's on a bigger base than these Aggradons, but that's how big he is. next to those. He holds his own, I think. And then the final comparison I want to make is, because I still haven't built the Star Master, is a Croxagore. So here is a Croxagore, absolutely huge. Croxagore is bigger than the Aggradon Lancers that are mounted. I want to see these Croxagores mounted on something. Can you imagine? It's sort of like a mount that's kind of like that tall. It'd be incredible. Probably even bigger, maybe that tall, like knight size maybe. But yeah, that's how big Croxagores are compared to the Aggradon Lancers. The Croxagore review will be out very, very soon. Next to other 40k minis, which I always like to do this comparison with, is we have the Space Marine as usual on the left, Slime Arbor in the middle, and a Primaris on the right. So far bigger than, you know, many 40k sort of infantry minis. You know, Primaris is barely up to the top of the mount there, let alone it's barely up to the top of the Aggradon there, let alone the rider. So. Okay, this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Aggradon Lancers. You'll find them in your brand new 3rd edition Seraphon Battle Tome, and they are conveniently placed straight after the Soros Scar Veteran on Aggradon, so you can you know, compare and contrast the rules for both. The unit sizes are 3, so you can't have 6 or any less or any more. The points cost is 210. And they count as battle line if the general is a Soros, which of course a Soros Scar Veteran on Aggradon is, and one of those would cost you 175 points. So back to the Aggradon Lancers then. Their movement speed is 8 inches, save of 4+, bravery 8, and 5 wounds. So that's 5 wounds each. So you got 15 wounds. So you got 15 wounds there, and if you take the Scar Veteran, that's 8. You have 23 wounds for 4 models. Pretty nice. Each model in an Aggradon Lancers unit is armed with one of the following weapon options: Celestite Club or Celestite Spear. All models in the unit must be armed with the same weapon option. Mount. This unit's Aggradons are each armed with Rending Bites and Striking Talons. Champion. One model in this unit can be an Aggradon Lancer Alpha. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that model's Celestite Club or Celestite Spear. Standard Bearer. 1 in every 3 models in this unit can be an Icon Bearer. Add 1 to the Bravery characteristic of this unit if it includes any Icon Bearers. And Musician. 1 in every 3 models in this unit can be a War Drummer. Add 1 to run rolls and charge rolls for this unit if it includes any War Drummers. So, weapons then. I've equipped all of mine with Celestite Spears. They're a range of 2 inches, 3 attacks, 4+ to hit, 3+ to wound, -2 to rend and damage 1. You can equip them with Celestite Clubs, which is range 1 inch, 3 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, -1 to rend and 1 to damage. And then the Aggradons themselves have these Rending Bites and Striking Talons. So a range of 1 inch, 3 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend of -2 and a damage of 2. So essentially each one of those Lancers has 6 attacks. So that's 18 attacks and 15 wounds at a 4+ and sometimes a 3+ to hit, and definitely a 3+ to wound with the -2 to rend, and sometimes you're getting damage too. So it's so it's pretty strong, especially with that, especially with all those wounds and the save and decent bravery. Primal Rage. This unit has a rage score that starts at 0 at the start of the battle. At the end of each combat phase, if this unit is within 3 inches of any enemy units, increase its rage score by 1 to a maximum of 3. At the end of each combat phase, if this unit is not within 3 inches of enemy units, reset its rage score to 0. While this unit has a rage score of 1 or more, add its rage score to the attacks characteristic of its Rending Bites and Striking Talons. Very nice. So you want to get these into close combat. You want to get them near enemies to bump up that rage score. If you take the Scar Veteran, it can use his Alpha Roar, which increases the rage score of friendly Aggradon units within 18 inches of him by 1. So if these guys are within enemy units, they've got to be within 3 inches of them, of course. You know, say they're within 3 inches of 2 enemy units, that's a rage score of 2, and then you've got the Alpha Roar, that bumps that up to 3. So then you've now got 18 Rending Bite and Striking Talons claws. So this unit can rip and tear. It's a shame you can't have them in a unit of 6, because I would definitely run them in a unit of 6 with the Scar Veteran, with a Scar Veteran as well. That would be nice, but nothing stopping you from having 2 units of 3. Keywords: Order, Seraphon, Saurus, Aggradon, Aggradon Lancers. So I think these are fantastic units. Yes, they may be few in number, but they have the potential of dishing out a lot of damage. They can wound pretty easily. They've got nice -2 to rend for both the spears and the talons, and they do a decent number of damage, and they're quite survivable with those 5 wounds and a save of 4+. And they're quite fast too, at a movement of 8 inches. But what do you guys think of the Aggradon Lancers? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Croak protects.